Generally, people say it's a well-governed state, or in governance he is not successful. He may be a good administrator, but governance he is very poor, etc. So, can you tell us what do you understand by the term governance?
Sir, governance means it is the proper manner in which administrators take decisions to govern the people, to carry out various developmental activities in the state, to make our administer our country according to our values set by our constitution, sir.
No, your policy may be good, you have the bureaucracy to implement, etc., but still nothing happens. It takes years to a bridge to come up. In some other good, very well-governed country, within 3 months, 4 months, and all that things get done. Similarly, law and order issues, etc. So, specifically, when do you say it is a well-governed state or a country?
Sir,
in fact, 2 or 3 things I mentioned now. What are the governance issues, in other words?
Sir, a well-governed state means it sticks on to the values of our constitution. It is ethical and it is in planned manner. And efficient leadership quality has to be there among the persons who are in leadership positions, be it the administrators. Effective utilization of our resources and empowering people to be themselves as a part of governance, participative manner. We have to encourage people to come forward and to make democracy inclusive and participative. And sir, the constraints would be, we are a developing country, we have time requirement to implement our plan in a real-time manner. Resource mobilization has to be there, and planning, it requires proper stakeholder consultations which take time, and that is why we are on a constraints which we face, but still that is needed. Proper planning requires time, and that is what we as a governance implies.
They used to have a planning commission in the past. Now is it there?
Sir, planning commission is now abolished, and in place we have the 𝐏𝐻𝐢𝐬, sir.
What is this 𝐏𝐻𝐢𝐬 there?
Sir, National Institute for Transforming India, sir.
Okay, very good. But people say there should be an implementation commission. That is what is required here. Do you agree with that statement? Implementation commission and not planning commission. The planning commission is not there now anyway. Implementation commission is required. Nothing is getting implemented. Is it correct, or it is not true?
Sir, in my opinion, implementation commission as a body should not be there, because already we have our systems in place. We have the well-defined administrative frameworks. That is what efficiency have to be improved, and the implementation have to be on a timely manner, accountable manner. So then we do not require a separate body as such. The implementation is itself a part of our systems at present, sir.
Have you heard of human elements in administration? Human elements in administration. What are those human elements?
Sir, human elements would mean our concern towards humanity, the empathy, our concern of equality, the visions of like justice. So everybody are equal in a society. So that is what we consider ourselves as a part of society. That is what humanity in administration itself is.
Okay. Nice, thank you.
You have offered Malayalam literature as an option, huh?
Yes, sir.
Malayalam literature, they say you have some of the best novelists, but why is it that we haven't got recognition for these novelists or other writers?
Sir, we have got recognitions to various novelists. We have Jnanapith awardees and various world-renowned novels in Malayalam literature is there, sir. And for example, Thagiri's novels, then 𝐁𝐚𝐭𝐜𝐡, Kayar are very renowned novels across the world. Indulekha, written the 19th century novel, its application is still relevant when it comes to gender and women-related issues. So we have various novels which received recognition across the world. So.
Okay. There's somebody who said that, these are not being translated, even the best works do not get translated or popularized in other languages. Is that one of the limitations? The readership is confined to only Kerala?
Sir, actually, the novel as a literary activity in Malayalam, it's basically originated in different other languages, and that's how it developed in Malayalam. And so, but still, a novel as a unique literary activity in Kerala, it is read across the world. Malayalam novels are renowned in different languages. It has been translated. Readers across the world are well known about various famous authors, sir. So it's not just, I believe that it's not, translation is not a constraint in that regard, but translation would definitely improve a kind of readership, because one language, the story in one language might not be known to other persons whose language is different. So translation would also be a good literary work, sir, in my opinion.
How old is our language, Malayalam? Is it a classical language?
Yes, sir, it's a classical language.
What do you think is its age? When did it evolve as a separate language?
Sir, Malayalam as a separate language, the theories, we have the Moola Dravidam Bhashavadam, which says that the original, it was the Tamil, like Kodun Tamil, which diverged into different languages. And what we what we use in Malayalam, that developed it standardized from at the period of 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐬. That is 17th century, it became a standardized language. Before that, we had the literature which include Dravidian style of writing, like part. So that was in 12th century. So standardization happened during the period of 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐬.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, Anupama,
Yes, sir.
have you heard about Global Gender Gap Index?
Sir, sir, I have read about it, sir, but sir, I could not recollect it about it.
Forget about that index.
Okay, sir.
Gender discrimination is a reality, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Have you experienced any gender discrimination in your life?
Sir, I do not feel that I have experienced any kind of discrimination.
Have you come across any person who has experienced gender discrimination among your friends, family members, any persons known to you?
Sir, it is not, actually I would say that it's not discrimination, but the element of patriarchy being visible in different forms, that sometimes tend to some kind of discrimination, which I have heard about, sir.
So what are your suggestions so that this gender discrimination, especially directed at females, can be avoided in future?
Sir, it is actually the behavioral change that has to be there, because irrespective of the gender, we have to uplift ourselves as the concept of humanity. Every individual, irrespective of the gender, is actually a part of the universal consciousness. That idea we have to be there. So there is no kind of discrimination in any manner, be it gender. So campaigns at the school level, college level have to be there to sensitize about the issue of gender discrimination and treat everybody equally. Our constitutional values have to be imbibed in the people. So it also has to begin from the family. So parents and relations with children, like what the treatment meted out to girls and boys at school, in family. So all these areas, the change has to come from, sir. That's how we can, it is through behavioral change, we have to make sure our gender discrimination has to be eliminated in that manner.
You are aware of transgenders, right?
Yes, sir.
There is a group called sexual minorities,
Yes.
which is a heterogeneous group involving people with sexual orientation differences as well as gender differences. And that group is now a very vocal group in social media and mainstream media. And they are recently trying to become a force and pressing for job reservation and reservation in education and such sectors like that. Do you think it would be a wise idea to provide a reservation to these people, sexual minorities?
Sir, in my opinion, reservation would be a possible solution to address their challenges at present, to make themselves represented in education and employment. But largely, reservation should not be the complete solution for addressing their social issues. At a short-term manner, we can use reservation as a tool for social mobility, for recognition, to participate in mainstream areas of education and employment. That would be a solution, sir. But largely, we have to make our society accept the differences. The human nature, humanity has to be there. That should be the long-term goal, sir.
What is the percentage of job reservation for most of the state and central government sectors in India?
Sir, in central government, we have a total of 60%, that 50% is the limit as set by Indira Sahni judgment, but we have reservations 27% for OBCs, 15% for scheduled caste, 7% for scheduled tribes, and 10% for economically weaker sections. It depends on the states also, sir. Different states have the state list separate reservations facilities. It depends on different states which says.
This last aspect, economically weaker sections, that has run to some controversy these days. And there are people who believe that this reservation has not done any good in furthering the social stature of some of these marginalized sections. There are people who believe that all reservation should be based on economic criteria. What is your take on that?
Sir, as far as my understanding, the reservation has led to a lot of positive changes till now since we implemented this, because the underrepresented communities, they got their representation in employment, in education. So that led to social mobility, and at the same time, the economic reservation is also a manner to address the challenges to those people who are not having any other reservation benefits. So that would also be a method to, in accordance with our principles of constitution. We have DPSP Article 46. In accordance with that, government has enacted EWS. But largely, sir, there has to be a model where even without reservation, we need to have change. That should be our long term. Even Supreme Court in the EWS judgment has suggested that reservation should not be a lasting solution. There has to be change in future. So I believe that not just translating to economic mode of reservation, we need new parameters, different kinds of changes, and society is required largely.
You are aware of the history behind implementing reservation, right?
Yes, sir.
Two very great persons fought over that issue,
Yes, sir.
whether it should be 5 years or 15 years.
Yes, sir.
Now it is 75 years plus. Now they say that in US, Indian medical graduates are not supposed to get into postgraduate courses from 2024. The reason is reservation. It's taught. Do you think it is harming the prospects of Indian graduates all over the world, this reservation, that concept?
Sir, I believe that it is not harming, because it is an enabling provision for people from different sections to come forward and contribute to the society. It may be because of their social and educational background historically that led them to not emerge themselves and to not play their part. They didn't get opportunity to play their part. So it is not a harming provision, but it is an enabling provision. But as we develop and progress happens in our country, we need to move on to other ways also, sir.
Another area totally, your optional is literature of Malayalam language. can you speak about postmodernism in Malayalam literature? The influence of postmodernism, some of the postmodern works in Malayalam literature.
Sir, postmodernism themes are basically related to contemporary events, like for example environmentalism and the concept of ecofeminism and the gender-based, woman-related empowerment aspects and climate-related aspects. So a lot of socially conscious issues are being dealt in postmodern literature, and it includes poetry and other short stories or different areas of literary works are happening in postmodern literature. It is different from what we see in classic or neoclassic phase. It can be written by anybody and anyone, even without a person who is trained as a trained in the literary language or literature. Anybody can write their experiences, share their life experiences or anything. There is no particular set of defined criteria for anyone to enter into the field of literature. That's the peculiarity of postmodern literature.
What is skepticism as described in postmodernism? Have you heard about that?
No, sir, I haven't heard.
Any postmodern works in Malayalam literature? I'll finish with that.
Sir, N.S. Madhavan's writings have postmodern influences.
One example?
Sir, the 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 is actually, we have seen that is a postmodern also. Some literary thinkers say it's a postmodern literature, but there are also saying that it is a modern, but I know...
A very celebrated novel by the same author. A very convoluted title.
Sir,
Okay,
yes,
you are aware of
yes, sir,
who N.S. Madhavan is,
yes,
right? Thank you. Sir.
You have read 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬.
Yes, sir. We have 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 in our syllabus.
It is there in the syllabus. Who is the key character in that?
Sir, the 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬, the name 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 is actually a...
No. I am
sir,
asking about the story.
Sir, it's a...
𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬.
𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬, yes, sir. And a girl who approached her and against...
Who is the villain in that?
Jabbar.
There was a criticism around that. What was that?
Sir, the criticism factor, sir, I have
You are
not
not aware.
aware.
How did the title 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 fit in there?
Sir, the title is reflecting how 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 as a goalkeeper, he entered to the playground and presented his caliber at that moment. So similarly, this 𝐁𝐚𝐭𝐜𝐡 actually he tried to resolve the issue of that girl.
That is, he crossed his boundary.
Crossed his boundary within the set
Okay, I
limits
got
of
it.
obedience.
We will leave 𝐏𝐽𝐬𝐬 literature there. Come back to something more contemporary. This term buffer zone,
Yes, sir.
that is being heard left and right. What is it, the issue around that?
Sir, the buffer zone issue is with regard to 1 kilometer of the eco-sensitive zone, which has to be demarcated as said by the Supreme Court judgment, which the survey has been conducted, and it was found that lot of villages habitations human habitations are there in this particular zone. So people demand that this human habitation areas have to be excluded from this protected buffer zone. That is what the present context of issue is, sir.
Suppose you are an officer in charge to deal with this issue. How do you try to resolve this issue?
Sir, if I am in charge of this, first I would make sure that this survey is properly known to all the people, and secondly I will have all stakeholders consulted. The parties, the people who are involved in it will be called, and some meetings will be organized to make people aware about this Supreme Court judgment and its importance to conserve this particular area, protected areas. So I will make the manner that the protest is peaceful and their demands are heard by the authorities. At the same time, I will work in accordance with the guidelines by Supreme Court and the government in that regard, sir.
But some hard decisions may be required, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So at times, hard decisions have to be there if we want to implement that buffer zone protected area. But at the same time, it's for the larger interest of the public in future, because these are sensitive zones. So we have seen a lot of disasters. So protection was very much needed. So at the same time,
What is happening in 𝐁𝐚𝐭𝐜𝐡, has it got any connection with this or any correlation or anything?
Yes, sir. 𝐁𝐚𝐭𝐜𝐡, that's the land subsidence happened, and that has led to a lot of casualties. So that is also unsustainable practices, be it construction or tourism activities, infrastructure happening without proper conservation measures that led to this disasters. And also this region is earthquake prone. It's in zone 5, and the fragility is there in Himalayan zone. That is what. So we have to prevent such issues in future in Kerala. So we have to address the concerns of people and give them.
We will take up yet another issue. See, in Kerala, we are very well known for the literacy education.
Yes,
While we have done extremely well when it comes to education at the lower level, general education, when it comes to higher education, our record is not so good. I make this statement. Do you agree, or what are your comments on that?
Sir, it is to some extent I also agree with it, sir. But still, there are improvements being coming up in our higher education sector. There was issues because of issues where employability matters, issues where in higher education where students actually choose to move outside India for higher education and not apply for courses within universities.
One last point. Our governor had made some intervention in the higher education sector.
Yes, sir.
You are aware of that?
Yes, sir.
What is your take on that?
Sir, in my opinion, in this particular issue, we have to follow the guidelines by UGC in appointment of vice chancellors, and that is how governor has
Okay, we will
intervened.
leave that. Thank you.
Last week, the Home Secretary and the Additional Chief Secretary met with a very serious accident in Kerala. I'm not sure whether you are aware of that. What is the reason for these very recurring accidents, and what could be the administrative solution for this?
Sir, so recurring accidents in roadways, it would be one, the violations of traffic rules might be one reason, and sometimes this infrastructural issues would be some reason. And sir, about that particular issue, I know I have read about it, but I don't know what was exact reason for that. But still, we as an administrator, we have to improve our infrastructure. Traffic management has to be in place. All the rules of for road safety has to be in place, and people they have to be responsible in driving. Awareness, road safety awareness have to be there. Rash driving has to be avoided. So as an administrator, I would conduct campaigns, coordinate with the transportation department in that regard. Trainings can be conducted to the people in public transportation and private. So such areas we can work with it, sir.
You know, there is another issue which normally confronts states like Kerala and other states, where there's a constant tussle between the governor and the state governments. Recently, we have seen the situation where the vice chancellor of various universities were asked to resign by the governor, based on a Supreme Court verdict. Would you approve of that decision, or what are your views on it?
Sir, the decision by governor was actually a proactive step, because the Supreme Court had the Kerala Technological University that invalidated the appointment. So, Sir Governor took a proactive step that similar case should not be there in other universities also. We in fact have to the governor's constitutional position as to defend and protect the constitution, and in that capacity governor has proactively taken, and there needs to be state government and governor issues should not taken as a controversy, but at the same time we have to make sure smooth administration has to be there in universities. So proper coordination in between governor as the chancellor and state government has to be there, because it is the nurturing of students, so it's the education that has to be given more prominence. So
what is the constitutional position? Do governors have authority and power, or are they only lame duck, with no power entrusted with them?
Sir, governor has to act according to the aid and advice given by Council of Ministers, and the governor takes basically oath to protect, defend the constitution, and that is what constitutional provision is. There are discretionary powers in constitution also for governors. So basically the state government is the elected and governor is nominated.
Fine, thank you. So you are a Malayalam literature student. So one thing we have seen over the past couple of decades, the Latin American literature has got a lot of prominence, and the world over people are reading some of the great authors from Latin America. However, that same thing has not happened in Indian literature. Okay, not sure whether you are aware of it. If so, why? This is my last question. Thank you.
Sir, I am not aware about this Latin.
Okay, one more. You are from Ochira.
Yes, sir.
What is the significance of Ochira?
Sir, Ochira is an ancient temple town, very famous for the Parabrahma temple, and that is one from.
How do people do worship there?
Sir, it is actually two banyan trees. So it's a Aomkaram or universal consciousness that is present there. So it is based on some Upanishadic ideals, which says that this represent wisdom and knowledge, that it is actually that connect that is.
How do you do a worship? How do you I want to do an offering there? How do you do that?
Sir, actually it's a worshipping that nature. We have the mud, holy mud is actually the prasad there. So
now, how do you do the worship? In temples you do
yes,
garland, flowers, fruits. In Ochira temple, what do you do? As a devotee, you go and do some offering to the Lord, no?
Sir, we will
study about it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we wish you all the best. You appeared absolutely good for the service, and you are confident. You are very pleasant in answering the questions, and your content of your answers, I think that is to be appreciated also. Your governor's questions and all that, you answered every question, and in fact they had to ask you to stop and then go to the next answer all the questions. So I think you definitely have a chance, and absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Well, I fully endorse what you said, sir, and you have been very communicative. And as far as I can say, the questions, for instance, about the language, your knowledge is appreciable, communication was good, and you answered every part of it. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, good. I think I concur with what the other panel members said. But I feel you are a little submissive. You could be a little more. I'm not sure exactly if that is in agreement, but I felt, but however you are speaking, answering confidently, you are well informed. You're not getting unnerved so easily. You're able to hold yourself. A good body language also. But sometimes I felt you could be a little more, because the time is very limited for the interview. Could be a little more cryptic. Just say the essentials. You are saying well, very appropriate, but be a little more cryptic. And sometimes you are trying to move away from anything critical things. You are rather be cautious about it. Maybe right also. I just thought you'd be aware of it. Thank you. All the best.
See, you have an unruffled appearance throughout. You don't get much distracted or affected, or you don't become nervous. That's good. Calm, composure, and your fundamentals are right. Whatever be the facts on an issue, your fundamentals are right. When I asked about buffer zone, there are so many facts around
Yes,
that,
yes.
but your basic approach was right, that all stakeholders should be consulted. That I found in everything. Having said that, as Swamiji said, I also thought you should be a little more forceful, a little more energetic. That lack of that enthusiasm should come out. See, in the short time of the interview, all the candidates are knowledgeable. They will tell something. But you bring in more than the fundamentals, a little more relevant details. In some places you were able to. When you bring in such facts only, the impression gets built. So you should try to prepare in that sense. See, sometimes you don't know, it's all right. We don't know many things. But where you know, when you give such impressive answers by putting in relevant illustrations, examples, statistics, numbers like that, that will add value. That's what you should aim at. Otherwise, you are doing very well. You have very good chance of doing extremely well. Okay, all the best.
Anupama, you have done wonderfully well. Very good communication, but as they have rightly pointed out, a little bit more assertiveness. And again, if the interview is going to be in the afternoon, you have a group of elderly panel members, should not allow them to doze off during the interview. It's your responsibility to keep them awake and alert, so that will translate into marks. So that engaging nature of that conversation should come. And the question which I asked regarding the reservation, it's a controversial area. I was trying to extract how you approach that question. It's always good to put some facts and figures, present both sides, and finally give a conclusion. Don't need to always impress upon that you are staying with what the government is doing or multiple governments have been doing. There are certain negative aspects to it. Tell that also, and finally give a reasonable judgment. That would be a much better approach. Other than that, it was excellent performance, very knowledgeable, very communicative. All the best.
Thank you, sir.